What's up, internet world, and welcome back to the channel. Today I bring you the 2022 Ford Raptor. I'm excited to bring this to you because our buddies the Straight Pipes reviewed the Generation 1 Raptor. This is the Gen 2. This is the V6, which is the same motor as this guy. Identical. So what is the difference? Let's look at the front. So these lights are definitely bigger and wider. They're more obnoxious than this one. These ones are really small. They are cool and people want to know what they are. It's because they are wider. The vehicle is wider than 80 inches, so they have to have a commercial type lighting to let everybody know, well, hey, this is a truck. It falls in the same regulations that does. But the main difference that I see from the front is really the approach angle. This is definitely a lot higher than that guy. That one, not as high as this one. This one's definitely a lot higher than that. Now this one does have 37-inch tires, which is what it says right across the side. There's a lot of small decals they've put on the new gen. Like especially look at the top here. The top has this sort of map, like the Baja 1000, like the trails, sort of a topography sort of design they have up that they've put here in sort of a vinyl wrap on the top. And also on the cowling, it says Raptor on the front here, and on that one, it doesn't say it. So moving along the side here, you will see some subtle changes. On the 2022, it's a nice big chunky light over here, whereas the 20, it's a small little tiny Ford little LED light. But the main change I see here is not the fenders. The fenders are pretty much exactly the same width, sort of cut shaped design, but it's the fender flare itself. This is a lot wider and chunkier on the 22 versus the 20. You'll see how skinny it is at the top here in the 2020. Also on the side here where it releases heat from the engine, this is nice and big and chunky, whereas on the 2020, it's just more aerodynamic. As far as the mirrors go here, they have exactly the same sort of concept and setup. They both emit a side light on either side of the vehicle. Same with this. This one is a little bit meatier. And when I look inside, I see 4 LEDs per side, and here I see 2 LEDs. So I know this emits a little bit more light. There's also a surround view camera on this one, where there is not on this one. As far as everything else along the side, pretty much looks exactly the same. Even the side steps going in have the same texture. They both say Raptor. This actually says Raptor bigger in the 2020, so I don't really see much of a difference there. Pretty much exactly the same. Maybe the door handles have a cutout on this guy, and then this one here doesn't have a cutout, but really pretty much the same thing. On the side here, this has just better graphics. I say they have the Baja stuff over here, sort of the meeting and the checkpoints, and it says a big 37 on the side because that's what they're calling this 37 extra option. But the main change between both of them, and the reason why you'd buy this over this, is the rear suspension. Come take a look. On the back here, you will see it does have the Fox shock suspension, but this is a leaf spring setup. That is the main difference. On this side, it's a coil spring setup. That is the difference. That is what people want to hear, and that is what you want to know as a buyer of either of these vehicles. Now let's take a look at the trunks. So at first glance, there's not a huge difference between the back end of both of these Raptors, but when you look deeper, there actually is. Now let's take a look at these side lights again. For the commercial standpoint, you will see that they are sort of really small on the 2020, but on the 2022, they're nice, big, and chunky, just like the front. Even the taillights, they have some sort of similarity, but they're actually a totally different design. They have the white and the reverse in the different spots, but that's not enough for me to say, man, I'm gonna buy this 2020 over this 2022, or vice versa. So what is the real difference? And maybe it's because you're like me and you have a bad knee and you need assistance like this. Fold down, which you can do with your key. And I'll show you the key in a second, but you actually have a step like a normal F-150. You can get in, you can pull this, and you can jump in, whereas you don't have this feature on the 2020. This is simply just doesn't offer it. Flat here, doesn't have the step. Everything else looks kind of the same. It does say Ford Raptor on that. This one does have a rounded sort of rear piece. But there's also something really small that you probably won't even notice. Let me get rid of this for a second. Number 1, number 2, push the button in, slide it in, up and in. I always find that these things weigh a ton. Oh, this is not bad. Oh, see, it's like right there. Oh, fancy. Oh, she powered. News to me. Let's hit her up and get her in. Power tailgate. Huh. reason enough to buy a 22. But what I was talking about is this build out here. If you take a look, it's built out over here because they made the frame a little bit longer just so they could fit a 37-inch underneath here. Whereas they don't have that on this one because this is 35 and it's nice and flat. As you can see, there's also a spare underneath there, but it's not built out just like that one in the 37. Exhausts visually look the same, but let's see how they sound. So I'm in the 2020 now, and it feels like a Raptor when I get in. I open the door, it says Ford Performance. I look at the seats, it says Raptor. The steering wheel says Raptor. It does have this red line right in the middle to give me the center marking. It feels very Raptor-ish, but that's kind of where it stops. Yes, it does have mode buttons that I can simply toggle forward. I have slippery, tow haul, sport, normal, deep snow sand, Baja. Yes, I have those, but where's the Raptor? I need more Raptor. The dash feels very plain and sort of dated. Not like the 2022. It's been a while, but we're back in Darren Noren's playground. He's got 100 acres for us to have a lot of fun in. And the crazy part is I thought I would actually put this Ford Raptor through some tests, including this little stream we have here that is highly elevated and it's nothing. This thing is so smooth, it goes over it like butter. I'm kind of embarrassed. I have to maybe get some more water in this stream. Now, I'll say these trails are a little bit probably too tight for the Raptor, but man, it takes it like a breeze. Like a breeze. Like trying to find, like, check this out, trying to find really difficult terrain for it to work through, and it's just a breeze. Like nothing, nothing. Easy, 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 easy. Oh, just like, it's like butter. This thing's like butter. This is butter. It's just so easy to drive. Look how cool this is. I love how the tire tracks are right there, and the tire tracks are like bear moose type, like aggressive tire tracks. They're not these dinky little lines. I just love how it has the pattern, the tread pattern on it. So this does have one pedal drive, and I'll show you guys that in a minute. So let's go through the steering modes now. For steering, I've got normal, comfort, sport, and off-road. I'm going to leave it obviously in off-road. And then for dampening, I'm going to leave it in, there's normal, sport, and then off-road, obviously. Off-road. Exhaust, I'm going to leave it in Baja, but there's quiet, normal, sport, and then Baja. Now, this is exactly a Baja type course, but it still excels at it so much. Like, it's just amazing. And next week is pretty cool because we get the Defender and we get the Bronco to actually test out in the exact same terrain. So that'll be pretty cool to have. Excited for that. Now, this is obviously very heavy and smooth and just so nice. Do you need a V8? I don't know, man. That 6 sounds pretty badass. There is some disadvantage to having really wide 37-inch tire in a terrain like this. I do get really pulled from side to side. I can't really float on top of the tracks that are already there. And this is so wide. Like, look how close these trees get. It's so wide. And I'm like afraid that I'm gonna get pulled and just get stuck in a rut or a track and hit this thing, right? So now my truck, gotta back up and try to find a different rut that I'm in. All right, let's go this way and check this out. This front camera automatically engages when I'm in this mode. Yep, see, I'm full right and I'm just stuck in this rut, can't get out of it. So that's the only downside to having such a wide tire. Will I clear? Will I clear? Well, I made it here. I made it in, so I got to make it out. Oh my God, this is a really wide rut. Oh, there it is. Perfect. Made it out. Made it out. Made it out. Perfect. Like, find the puddles. Find the puddles. Find the puddles. And puddle time. It's just so wide. This is all in 4 high. I haven't put in 4 low yet. It does have, as mentioned, 1 pedal driving, which I'll show you guys in a second. It's like as smooth in the trails as it is on the road. It's so smooth. Big puddle. Boom. Perfect. So let's activate 1 pedal time. Oh, stop. 1 pedal drive actives. Use set button to. All right. All right. Trail control with trail 1 pedal drive off and on. Use set. Where's set? Right there. Set. Okay. 2 kilometers an hour, 3 kilometers an hour, 4 kilometers, 5. Let's set it to 8K. Oh, no, that's way too fast. Okay. How about 4K? Okay. 2. Okay. Let's set it to 2K. 2 kilometers an hour. We're set to 1 pedal drive. Let's see if I can get up this hill. Pretty cool. Oh, pretty cool. Check this out. Look, no feet, guys. My feet are full of mud, but no feet. I swear to you, right there. 2 kilometers an hour. This is awesome. This is so cool, man. Just set it and forget it. So we're gonna try 1 kilometer an hour up this hill here and see how it does. It's like trying to figure out, am I accelerating or what? And using all the sensors to make sure, like, look at this thing. Okay, we're a bit stuck. This is totally not on me. I'm not touching the gas. Uh-oh. She's struggling. She's struggling. 1 pedal drive, I guess maybe it's just for going down. It's trying to go up, but yep, nope. It's like, it's struggling. We found its match, and it's not the truck, it's 1 pedal driving. All right, let's hit the brakes here. Let's back up. Let's back up. Give it a bit of a run here. And it's like automatically feeding the brakes. It's totally stopping me. All right, so on drive and up. Here we go, and easy. All right, so let go now. It just brakes me right to 2 kilometers an hour. So it's braking me down and braking me up. But what's up with this, like, well, I guess it's thinking we're rock crawling. That would make sense. Anyways, that's how that works, and foot to the ground. Trail mode off. I get way more nervous driving slow than driving fast. Driving fast, I'm like fully in control, understand what's going on, understand the slide, all that good stuff. Going slow, I'm like, will it make it? There we go, that's way better. Now I'm in my zone. The engineers at Ford did a great job with this exhaust, man. This exhaust just sounds so good. This thing goes over anything and everything. It's just so easy. Takes 0 skill. 0 skill. You just point, press, and go. Like logs and branches. Branches are nothing. It's like big logs maybe can be a thing. We found water deep enough. These 37s are just so good. It's so smooth. And the great part about it is on the highway, it feels like butter too. So butter here and butter on the highway. All right. Maybe it's not a jet ski. Oh. God, this thing's heavy. Wow, Ford performance. This is a 3.5-liter V6 that makes 450 horsepower, pretty much exactly the same as the 2020. But obviously, what kind of transmission does it have? It's a Ford, so it obviously only has a 10-speed automatic. Pretty straightforward, but it has something unique. It has a front axle with a torsion differential. Now, torsion is obviously an Audi product, is it not? Audi ran the Quattro torsion differential system for years. They marketed the hell out of that thing until they got caught thinking you're the only ones that can use it. So they lost the rights to it. And guess what? Ford put it in this bad boy. Yes, but you're complaining. It doesn't make enough power. It only makes 450 horsepower. The TRX makes 702. Now the Raptor R is coming, and that's going to give you just over 700 horsepower. That's what Ford says. So fingers crossed to compete against the TRX, which is cool because you have two options. Well, why? Because of fuel. Gas is so expensive now in North America. It was like that everywhere else in the world forever, but it's actually taking shape in North America. Gas is big money. So you have two versions. You get something that gives you 18 miles per gallon with this engine compared to a TRX that gives you 8. You save pretty much twice the fuel in this thing than you do the TRX. There's one reason to buy this thing. Now moving along the side here, you guys gotta let me know, do you like the looks of this or do you like the looks of the TRX? Because the side profile of this thing just really looks really rugged. Now you can get 37s or 35s. This is 37s and you can clearly tell because it says 37 right here. I thought it was somebody's number and then I realized no, it's how big the tires are. So pretty cool to know that. Now it does have, as I mentioned, big, pretty huge fender flares. It's also got really cool step-in bars, which is the same as the old generation, but I like the way this one looks. It just flares out a little bit different than the old one. It does have these little holes, nice in the TRX. One thing it does not have though, is it doesn't have towing mirrors. You see these mirrors can't come out like the TRX does. So if you're trying to tow something, you probably have to get extenders. Yes, this does have 360 camera, and if you do like the color, this is called Rapid Red, but over here is where the Raptorness really starts. This does have 5-link suspension, and it does have Fox shocks that are upgraded. So the back suspension is totally different than anything that came before it. So total payload is 1,400 pounds on the back of this Raptor. As far as towing, it can tow 8,200 pounds. Now the tailgate has power, as I showed you guys earlier. It also does have bottle openers. You can bottle open on this side and bottle open on that side, simply like the Maverick. Now let's get in the back of this thing. I push this button, pull this out, drop this down, pull this thing out, all the way up, clicky clack, and I jump in this thing. And it's important to note because it does have a spray-in bed liner, but it does have something called Pro Power on board. So it does have 2 kilowatts worth of power that you can plug in and get. You push this button, it starts it. It is an inverter product. It is not a generator like some of the big boys have in the other Fords. You push this button and the LEDs come on in the bed, nice to see. And if you want to know what's going on with your bed when you're driving, well, you have a camera back here that faces and you can see it. So Doug DeMora said, why do you have a camera? What's the point? Well, it's important because if you do have stuff in the back here and it's rolling around, you want to kind of see how much it's rolling. Or if you got something in the back here and you think it's not strapped well enough, it's nice to see it back here. And obviously you do have the rear glass window like pretty much every other F-150. So that's it from the back. Let's jump in the front and see how the cabin feels like in this Raptor. Back seat of a 2022 Ford Raptor. Now let's start with the door panel. You see this material here? This is being more common in the car business. I'm taking a look at my Tesla. Even they have this denim sort of feel and look, and this is exactly what it is. Except this one has red stitching because this is Rhapsody Blue. Now take a look underneath here. This looks like a gun compartment that you would lift up and you'd have space to put your guns, but it's not. You lift it up and it just creates a bit of a compartment, but it's not a gun compartment. It's just a cavity essentially to put some tools, and it can fold flat if you wanted to. Let's put this down and take a look at these Rhapsody Blue seats. Now in the front they're Recaros, in the back here they're just kind of similar to most other stuff, kind of like King Ranch-ish if anything. It does have some nice red stitching that flows throughout here, but it's suede on the 2 sides, and right here it is leather. Door feel, well, pretty much the same as every other F-150, it just has a little bit more fluff in it. Like I mentioned, sort of like a King Ranch. Now on the back you have 2 cup holders. And everything else is pretty straightforward. It does have 2 heated seats on either side, 2 increments of them, and then a lot of plugs, which is very Ford-like nowadays. The F-150 has a ton of plugs. In the back here, you've got a plug, a full-out plug in here that you can use. You've got a USB-C, USB, and cigarette lighter. You do have 2 cup holders over here, and another cup holder here, and another bottle holder. There's just a ton of cup holders, just a lot of luxury space. Doug mentioned something interesting. There is no 3-zone climate control, just 2-zone in the front. So you can't control anything back here, which for the kids would be nice to have because it's still a big cabin. A lot of people are using F-150s for families, and the Raptor would be no different. Front seat of the Ford Raptor. Man, this thing is high to get in for a little guy. Now, there is this little thing here that I can't figure out what it is. So if you guys can figure it out, let me know in the comments below. I try to find the owner's manual, but nowadays, because the world is so technologically advanced, they just give you a bunch of books, but no owner's manual, just a bunch of supplementary basic stuff. So if you guys know what this thing is, please let me know. Now, as far as the Recaro seats feel, they feel very solid. There's no give in these seats. They are nice and hard. So expecting big jumps is what I'm thinking when I sit in these seats. They're not soft. They just don't have any give, but they do have speakers in the headrest. And the last time I saw this was in my Audi R8. That's awesome. Now everything else feels pretty good in here. Like it feels very modern and new, just like the 2021 that I currently drive, the F-150. There's not a real big difference, but I don't really expect that. There is more though than the 2020 that we had 2 seconds ago. It does have buttons on the steering wheel, now that I can adjust. I do have my exhaust, which has different modes. It's got normal, sport, Baja, and of course, quiet, which is cool for something this crazy that you can quiet the exhaust. That's usually a big no-no when people want to buy something big and monstrous. They're always worried about their neighbors and how loud it would be. So the fact that you can press a button and adjust your exhaust, because remember, Ford took a lot of time to build this exhaust. This thing has got something called equal length exhaust, so it creates a pitch that's different. So for a V6, this thing sounds pretty sweet. Listen. And above the exhaust button, you have 2 extra buttons. You have one for the suspension and one for the steering. Obviously, depending what mode you're in, it's going to affect those values. But what makes it Raptor-ish? Now, over here, you have these really cool paddle shifters, and they're good quality. They're not plastic, and they feel really meaty to press. Obviously, Ford wants you to use them because you've got 10 speeds, 10 gears to go through. So there we go. That's why we have nice big paddle shifters. Other Raptor stuff is definitely indicated on this big, huge monster armrest here that also doubles up as a eating bench. Yeah, press this button, this folds down, and voila, you can feast a ton of french fries on this bad boy. Contractors love it, and it's cool that they put this in the Raptor as an option. That's nice to see. Obviously you have wireless charging. You have these 6 auxiliary buttons that are right up here, and you're wondering where they go. They're actually all in a box under the hood, so you don't have to run new wires through the firewall, and you can have cool accessories. You can have lighting, underbody lighting. You can have big mud bars that have lighting. Whatever you want to put, you've got 6 of these bad boys. So you don't have these silly switches all over the car. So it's kind of nice they incorporated that. So in the driver display, you have Raptor info. So let's go through Raptor info and see what you can get. So if we start the stop, this is Raptor status. This tells you different drive modes that you're in. And let's go down this list. You've got your gauges, you've got your measurements, your tire pressure, your off-road. It totally changes the cluster, which is pretty cool. Power distribution, engine information, and driver assistance. Back to menu, and let's go to Raptor info and see if there's more data I can find. Power distribution. Nope, pretty much exactly the same thing as me going up and down. So there's multiple ways to get to the same information. So you know what's interesting about these gauges is that you can't have the navigation. It's simply just different views, trip fuel. The navigation is done over there. So I complained about this in my Tesla a little bit. You can't have nav right on the main screen. You actually have to turn your head. Now this is a little bit further apart, so you actually have to visually turn your head because this truck is so big. In the Tesla, it's at least tighter, so your eyes are not moving that far. But in this specific case, you're really moving your head right to the center console. Awesome truck though, super happy with it. It'll be sweet next week because we get the Bronco and we get the Defender to test through this exact sort of course and see how it goes. So wish me luck, and as always, don't forget to subscribe.